Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here, and this time we're reviewing on Iron Man Armoured Adventures. Now, Iron Man Armoured Adventures follows the adventures of a teenage Tony Stark as him, Pepper, and Rhodey pretty much have to take on Obadiah Stane, who has taken over Tony Stark's father's company, and is planning to turn it into a weapon, into it producing weapons. In it, Tony Stark has to don the Iron Man armor and deal with Stane's evil plots and such. Now, in the show, Tony is about a kid in this. The same goes for Pepper, Rhodey, and their friend, who I'm not going to spoil who he is, but you have to find out. So, the premise of the series is Iron Man having to deal with Stane, and at the same time having to deal with the Mandarin, who, in this series, is meant to wear iron armor and isn't portrayed as a racial stereotype. In the series, the Mandarin is meant to be a character who is a part of an alien race, who also want the Ten Rings, and which are guarded by Temple Guardians, each one being based on a Marvel villain and such. Now, in the course of the series, Tony has to deal with the facts of criminals, gangsters, and other things, at the same time having to use his iron armor to deal with foes like Crimson Dynamo, the Controller, Blizzard, Whiplash, and so on. Now, each of the episodes do have story arcs where Tony has to deal with the villain of the day and has to deal with his nemesis. At the same time, Tony is trying to find his father, who this kind of reminds me a bit of VR Troopers, where Ryan Steele has to find his father. Because the characters are pretty much like that, because Tony's meant to be like Ryan Steele, Rhodey kind of like JB, and pretty much Pepper being the version of Caitlyn, and so on. Now, in the series itself, Stane pretty much is portrayed as like he was in the comic books, trying to obtain Stark International, and at the same time doing what he can to build his empire by using criminal means, which will eventually prove to be his downfall. Now, there are moments where Stane can be an idiot, like one episode with the armor walls, where Tony reveals the guardsmen's identities, yet it never came to him to use plastic surgery to give the criminals new identities. It would have made more sense, and when he's finally exposed, it never came to him to destroy any evidence and such. Now, at the same time, we have Madame Masquerade, who's also now portrayed as being Stane's daughter. At the same time, she's meant to be the kind of characters there, but is meant to be the somewhat character that Tony cares for. Now, also the show itself, other characters like Spider-Man, Ant-Man, also the Fantastic Four are mentioned in this. Now, it's unknown if the Fantastic Four are superheroes in this continuity, because we do see Doctor Doom in one episode, so it does lay some suspicions if he does exist or not. Now, what's also interesting, other story acts are used, like Armor Walls, The Extremists, and other things. Plus, also what's interesting is other Marvel heroes like Hawkeye, Hulk, Black Panther and that do appear in the show. And mainly the show was animated and done in Canada. This is kind of like the last Marvel show done in Canada before things were moved into the US due to Disney buying out the rights to Marvel at the time. Now, Iron Man Adventures feels better in a way, and a bigger improvement over the 90s Iron Man cartoon. I still don't like Tony Stark much in this series because he never really thinks of the consequences of his actions, and almost everything he does either gets him killed or gets people pissed off with him. Now, also what's interesting as well, Nick Fury does appear in the show, and he acts more like the mentor to Tony Stark at times. And it's kind of like watching a teenage version of Iron Man with the armored spider suit. Now, what's also interesting as well, Tony Stark pretty much has to deal with the concepts of growing up, having to take on villains, and at the same time trying to get through class and stuff. And there are moments where he does regret some things, and so on. Now, we also have Justin Hammer, who does appear for Season 2, who becomes the series version of Crimson Dynamo. It's a better change than using Russian characters because the Cold War is over, so technically you would need to change characters around. And it's a better way of showing off his ego as well. Now, what's also interesting is that almost every of the Iron Man characters and so on are given updated looks and better origins. It's a better way of working on a new project and coming up with new ideas. Now, the show ran for 2 seasons with about 52 episodes. There were plans for a season 3, but did leave some things on a cliffhanger that was never going to be explained. But the producers did have hopes of putting in Wolverine, even though they did have Jean Grey, Mayor Kelly, and Professor Xavier and Magneto in one episode. The show does great because it takes time on building up War Machine and Rescue. So it's kind of like that show that you see that builds up great character moments. It's kind of like Flash. They build up the characters well and do it perfectly. So what I think, Iron Man Armoured Adventures is a perfect series if you want to watch a show better than the 60s Iron Man one. So in general, a good thumbs up. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.